In this episode, a couple stumbled upon the body of an unidentified young woman who was seemingly frozen in place. The couple were horrified and believed for a moment that they were about to be in an episode of The Walking Dead come to life, literally. Once they calmed down and realized the body was not in fact undead, they called the local authorities. Once the officer came to the scene, they explained to the couple that once something dies they go through a process called Rigor Mortis, the Latin term for stiffness after death. In this episode of CSI, The Science Revealed, we will delve into this stiff situation and explain why the body does this.
In living muscle, contraction is concluded with the binding of magnesium and ATP to return the muscle to its relaxed state. Living muscle cells expend energy to transport calcium ions to the outside of cells. The calcium ions that flow into the muscle cells promote the cross-bridge attachment between actin and myosin, two types of fibers that work together in muscle contraction. Skeletal muscles will contract or relax when they receive electrical signals from the brain. These are all voluntary responses. The site of signal exchange takes place in the neuromuscular junction. This is the place where the synapse and the muscle fiber connect. The action takes place when the neurotransmitters is stimulated by the action potential signal. The signal causes the receptors to open, allowing the sodium ions, which are highly concentrated on the outside of the fiber, to move inside, causing it to become depolarized in the sarcolemma. This signal will travel down the sarcolemma to the T-tubule. ATP binds to myosin and hydrolysis occurs. Calcium ions are then released from sarcoplasmic reticulum, binding to troponin. The myosin then binds to the actin. ATP is then put back into the binding site, causing the binding to release. The leftover ATP and other phosphates are recycled to be used again. Post-mortem, however, the body is unable to maintain the relaxed state without the presence of adequate amounts of ATP. Rigor mortis takes place because the sarcoplasmic reticulum becomes completely permeable and all the calcium rushes out. These molecules bind to the troponin, which then moves the tropomyosin. This exposes the actin, causing the actin and myosin to bind using the leftover ATP. Because the person or animal died, ATP is no longer being produced and any leftover ATP was used. The fibers are in a contracted state, unable to move for about 3 days.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you